Hi everyone, the Lone Wolf here and welcome back to the Sunday recap, my weekly vlog where I talk a bit about my last week in games, and as always we'll start with EVE Online where I spent an average amount, I would say, and I actually got really lucky with some exploration. To my surprise I found both a 4 out of 10 and a 3 out of 10 in Chunka, just one jump out of Detal. And after that, one system out in Tashinas, I found another 4 out of 10, and that got me like 300 plus million ISK in drops in just 2 systems of exploration. I was doing that in the Ishtar, so everything went really smoothly, and yeah, that was very nice. A comeback for me when it comes to exploration, and this makes up for a lot of time, quite a few weeks I would say, where I didn't get any good drops, despite the fact that I found some good sites on pretty much every single week. So that was a lot of fun, of course. Next to that, we kept up with the blueprint copy business. My brother is actually helping out with the upgrading of the Tech 2 related blueprint originals, so there I'm still able to sell decently well. The Orca blueprint is quite high at the moment, some of the structure blueprints as well. Of course, there is a bit of speculation happening on a boom in moon mining to take place, so that BPC went up substantially as well. And I would say that for the capital ships that I'm making, which is some dreadnoughts, some carriers, and then the freighters, everything is pretty much normal at the moment, although prices for the ships themselves, of course, might be going up as they need quite a few minerals. On the PI front, we have a mixed picture at the moment. I am selling some of the PI that I'm making because a couple of goods are going for really high price at the moment, but in a few others demand is still clearly lacking and we are at very low prices there. So basically for me personally it is mostly about hoarding whatever doesn't sell too well and then selling whenever the prices go up, and that's one of the advantages of me making EVE Talk. Of course, I do keep an eye on all of that. Fuel related PI is still doing okay under a little bit of pressure, but if we look at the prices of fuels themselves that are going down to like 18,000 ISK per fuel block, or pretty close to that in Jita, it is kind of weird. It must be a real crash in ICE products, which I have a couple of investments in, so everything of course does not always work out, and my isotopes at this point are all really badly in bad positions at the moment. For the development of EVE Online, we of course have some cool announcements, including the frigate escape bay that is coming to the battleships. I'm hoping to take a look at that on CC tomorrow. And what else? Oh yeah, the filaments of course that are coming back as well. They should be drops for data sites in wormhole space, and potentially they'll have like a little bit of an industry side to those as well. I wonder where we'll get the BPCs and things like that. CSB also mentioned that they might keep some of them for rewards, for special rewards, so we may not be able to just make all of them as part of the sandbox, but some of them may become rather exclusive items. Well, that's kind of okay to me. These filaments are random in and of themselves, so as long as we can produce some of them in game, I think we're fine and we can keep going. And then if you have some in like maybe some special locations that are a bit more unique and can actually go up in value, all of that seems pretty good to me. So yeah, looking forward to all of that. Of course, it's called the Fight or Flight Quadrant, the focus on PvP. Bring back the filaments is very cool, of course, and then that weird idea I would say for the new bay for battleships, where you actually have a fitted frigate inside your battleship that will then be able to fly out when your battleship is blown up, and you'll be able to continue to fight in that, is very interesting, although quite unexpected in my book. We'll take a look at that as soon as I'm able. Next up, we have a little bit more Dota Underlords as well. I just play the game from time to time when I'm trying to relax a little bit. It's still working out for me. I really enjoy the insect meta at the moment. Getting to those 4 insect heroes is pretty interesting because you can combine that with many other powerful combinations, like warlocks. Of course, you get a warlock, spider, assassins. I actually won a couple of games going full assassins. You need to be a little bit lucky, of course, when it comes to that, because well, you have to have some 3-star assassins in the lineup pretty early to really make the difference. And what is really important as well for the assassin lineup, for instance, is that you get some good items, some attack speed items, some offensive items, maybe some life stealing items as well. Those are quite crucial once you get away from the more regular meta, which is something like the like the Rangers, like the Scrappy, of course, that have their own regen. Things like that do work with pretty much any items, whether they're more defensive or more offensive. Once you're focusing on something that's a little bit different, like the Assassins, then you do want the right items in order to get you through all the other tankiness that the opponents can bring, basically. Some other things that have been working out really well is Heartless, for instance. The main reason I think that works out so well is because it basically gives a debuff to all enemies, and so it works also regardless of the items that you or they have. It just decreases their armor massively. So overall, yeah, there are some that don't require an item focus and others that do require a little bit of luck in the item department. And now I am starting to figure out that, yeah, these are pretty important. Making the right item choices depending on the meta that you're going actually has a pretty big impact on your performance. In Dota Underlords, for instance, there is actually a cape that for every kill that the unit makes, they get extra HP, and if you give that to the right unit, they become very powerful. There's also something else. There's like a sword that gives you plus damage for every kill that you make, and then there is like this rather useless legionnaire, in my experience, that is basically too weak but does get the bonuses for all other synergies that you have on the board, and give her that item and all of a sudden we are talking something completely different, because she keeps dueling enemies. But if she's like a knight and an assassin and maybe a warlock as well, all of a sudden with that extra damage from the item, she can win a lot of duels, and she can basically snowball into something that starts to 2-shot and 3-shot some of the other enemies. So there's definitely very interesting combinations to do with the right items, and even with lower tier items like the tier 2s that I was talking about here, the cape with extra HP and then the weapon with extra damage for every kill. Super interesting, and yep, I still actually enjoy playing some Dota Underlords from time to time. That left me with a little bit of extra time as I'm waiting for the announcement for the next league with Path of Exile. So there's still some other stuff that I want to do in the meantime, and I decided on revisiting Planetside 2. So I'm going back to that game a little bit, not with any real goals in mind, just trying to have some fun. I actually think that that's pretty important to do. I only spent a couple of hours in there so far, but it's a lot of fun, and I started a Vanu character. Different feel, different types of weapons. It's pretty cool so far. I definitely enjoy it. The unlocking certificates when you're playing free-to-play is still very slow, so I must say try not to focus on that too much. Just try to have some fun, which is not always easy, of course, when you're starting out with the starter kit. You do feel quite a bit weaker than the others from time to time, but basically my first couple of hours now I'm spending as a combat medic, which means that I can stay behind other team members a little bit, just try to heal them, revive them, do things like that. I rediscovered the mobile spawn point that can actually give you quite a bit of experience, quite a bit of bonuses from that. So that's very cool. I actually managed to place one in the right spot at the right time. It really became the spawn point for our next offensive, and that was very cool to play with. And my first unlock, I actually went with the engineer, who has a turret that goes after infantry automatically. Very cool in defensive positions when you're like trying to defend a point and things like that. So that's been my first couple of hours in not Destiny 2, but in Planetside 2, and well, we'll see. I'm definitely planning to make a couple of extra videos on that as well. Definitely very cool to revisit that game at this point, because pretty soon we should get an update for Planetside 2 as well, and so I'll be able to cover what's happening before the update, then probably grab the update and see a little bit what's happening after that. But it is still my dream that Planetside 2 would have been the end game for Project Nova from CCP. Unfortunately, there the name has been scrapped and they're still developing something, so we'll see how that works out there. But for now, if you want some massive scaled combat experience, then Planetside 2 is still the go-to game in my opinion. On top of that, it's free to play, really not a big download, like 12 gigabytes or something like that, very quick, and my old account actually still worked there as well. So really good. I'm having fun with some Planetside 2 as well, and that'll be coming out in March when I start to release the revisiting of Planetside 2. That was my last week in games, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time.